We don't want to be under someone's control. We don't want our lives to be out of our own hands. Neo is already poised, like Christ, to be a revolutionary and a rebel against the system.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And he became the one. Purpose gives us direction.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy.
Oftentimes, instead of it being programmed, instead of it being something we receive,
The problem is choice.
it's something that we choose, that we create on our own.
I thought it wasn't real.
Your mind makes it real. The body cannot live without the mind.
The whole idea of the one, the whole prophecy, was a manipulation by the Matrix.
It's just so much fun to watch. I just love it.
Hello and welcome to Cinema Therapy. I'm Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist, and I love movies.
I am Alan Seawright, professional filmmaker, and I need therapy.
Are you ready to see how deep this rabbit hole goes?
I have taken the red pill, and I'm excited to see what happens.
So here's our question for today. Does
Okay.
free will exist, or are we all programmed by our biology and experience? Do we actually choose, or is everything determined by nature and nurture? Why do you think this is a question we've wrestled with for so long? Why does it matter?
It matters because if we are agents unto ourselves, if we can actually make choices, then we must make good ones.
Yeah.
And if we don't, then it kind of absolves us of any wrongdoing.
Yeah, it's not our fault. It's our
Right.
upbringing, or it's our environment.
We are here because there is something wrong with society.
See, you're always saying there's something wrong with society, but maybe there's something wrong with you.
If it's me, then society made me that way. Now, I know a lot of you are probably...
Now, this is a crucial question for therapy because I see a lot of people who feel like they can't grow because of what's been done to them.
Sure.
Right? Well, I learned this from my parents. This is just how I am, or this is what somebody has done to me, or these are my circumstances. And so we're going to explore free will versus determinism, and we're going to do it in a really ass-kicking way. Merry Christmas.
Do you believe in fate, Neo?
No,
Why not?
because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
I know exactly what you mean. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
All I offer you is the truth.
We're going to talk a little bit about Jesus in this episode, not because we're trying to push religion, but because it's there.
They're not subtle about it. The Wachowskis, like, in the screenplay, people only ever say Jesus Christ either to Neo or about Neo.
You're my savior, man. My own personal Jesus Christ.
Whoa! Neo, you scared the bejesus out of me.
This is not subtle stuff, guys. They're slapping you in the face with it.
This episode is sponsored by Amazon Music, like The Matrix, but benign.
I don't know if we can say that.
Not quite what you were expecting, right?
Amazon Music has over 10 million free podcast episodes.
Wow.
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 So you're not going to run out of them. They also have thousands of music stations. You basically have unlimited choice if you choose.
Wow.
Wow.
And if you want unlimited ad-free access to over 75 million tracks, you can sign up for Amazon Music Unlimited.
I'm a big fan of the Office Ladies podcast with Jenna Fisher. and
hilarious.
Angela.
So great.
I love The Office, and hearing them just reminisce about the stories.
A couple standouts for me, Dungeons and Daddies. Some guys that I've been following since like YouTube 10 years ago, and it's freaking hilarious. It's Dungeons and Dragons, but not.
So you listen in the gym on your earbuds. I like it in my car. I like it when I'm jogging.
I'll download podcasts to my watch and listen to them that way because I'm a fancy boy. For a limited time, new customers can try Amazon Music Unlimited free for 3 months, no credit card required. Go to amazon.com/cinematherapy. Renews automatically, cancel anytime. Terms apply.
But Neo is already poised, like Christ, to be a revolutionary and a rebel against the system, right? I love when Morpheus asks him,
Do you believe in fate, Neo?
No.
and Neo says, no, because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my own life. And this is why people, at the very least, want to believe in free will, because we don't want to be under someone's control.
Right, yeah.
We don't want our lives to be out of our own hands. The flip side of that, though, the scary thing that the Matrix kind of plays with a little bit with the character of Cypher. Cypher ultimately wants the security of control.
You call this free? If I gotta choose between that and the Matrix, I choose the Matrix.
And so I think we root for Morpheus, we root for Neo, we root for Trinity, we believe in freedom, but we also kind of want the idea that if we make mistakes, they're not really our fault.
Yeah, it's real great to be able to pass the buck when something goes wrong.
Right.
That's just human nature. I'm that way too.
So can we talk about the red pill, blue pill, and the shades? Like, how did they get the shot with the different...
Oh, that's digital compositing. So there's one shot that's straight onto Morpheus, looking over the hands and seeing his face. And then they actually turned the camera around and did 2 different shots to get the plates and then just stitched those onto his glasses with like totally different, super wide lenses to make it match the curvature of the stuff. There's no easy way to make a really great movie like this. You just work really hard.
So Neo takes the red pill, he learns the truth. We live in a dystopian future where machines are using humans as batteries. And
which we won't get into the biochemistry of how that doesn't really work at all, but it makes for a great story.
Yeah, it makes for a great story. And so we're all in pods and we're living in a virtual reality. We're stuck in 1999, which sign me up for that program. It's been a rough couple decades since then. So
1999 was pretty good for me. Well, I don't know. I got The Matrix out of it, but I also got Star Wars Phantom Menace.
This is the world as it exists today.
Stop.
Let me out! Let me out! I want out!
the first film is fairly straightforward. I think the machines represent programming and control. They're obviously the bad guys. The humans represent freedom and free will. They're the good guys, and we're all rooting for it. Rah, rah, sis, boom, bah.
Well, and it's a very standard, Joseph Campbell. This is a hero's journey film. Straight up. Neo's literally in one world and gets pulled out and put in a different world.
Right. He's an audience surrogate. He leads an exceptionally normal life, and then he learns that he's special and that he's got this mentor that guides him through, and
It's the hero's journey.
It's a very simple, straightforward. We want him to be the hero, and we fall right into it because the reason the hero's journey is repeated over and over and over again is because we love that story.
Listen, it works. It works. It works across cultures. There's a reason for it.
Action break.
Whoa.
Dodge this.
Well, if you look at heroes' journeys, like if it's Harry Potter, if it's Frodo, if it's Star Wars, there's always somebody who can foretell the future. I mean, there's the chosen one prophecy, and so here we get the Oracle.
And don't worry.
She's just this sweet old grandma baking cookies.
Don't worry about the vase, and then he breaks it.
That vase.
I'm sorry.
I said don't worry about it.
And this is one of my favorite lines in film history.
One of my kids to fix it.
How did you know?
Oh.
Right here.
What's really going to bake your noodle later on is, would you still have broken it if I hadn't said anything? You know what that means? It's Latin. Means know thyself. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Being the one is just like being in love. No one can tell you you're in love, you just know it. Through and through. Balls to bones.
Good advice for dating.
I better have a look at you. Open your mouth, say ah.
It's funny later on to realize she's totally just messing with him here.
Yeah. This has nothing to do with anything.
Okay. Now I'm supposed to say, that's interesting, but Then you say,
But what?
It's just so great to have this character not taking this character's archetype seriously.
I'm not the one.
sorry, kid. You got the gift. But it looks like you're waiting for something.
Well, and it's like she knows this is the part she's supposed to play.
Right.
You're going to have to make a choice. In the one hand, you'll have Morpheus's life.
And here she's talking about choice.
You'll have your own.
So she's setting him up to believe.
One of you is going to die. Which one will be up to you?
She's setting him up to believe
I'm
that
sorry, kid.
choice is what's important
You're
here,
a
not
soul.
that he's destined to be the one.
And I hate giving good people bad news.
Yeah. And then she tells him to eat a cookie.
Take a cookie.
Which is, you know, a lot like eating chocolate after a Dementor attack. You'll feel much better.
You'll feel much better.
I love that all of our mythology is just like, here, have some blue milk, have a cookie, have some chocolate, you know, things will get better. She plants a seed about determinism, which is, would you have knocked it over if I hadn't said anything, right? Did I cause you to do that?
It's a perfect screenplay. Like, it is a clockwork screenplay, like Pixar does, like Edgar Wright does. There are not very many movies every year, but in most years, there's one or two movies where it's just the screenplay is just perfect.
There's no fat.
No fat, solid jokes right when you need to cut tension.
Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
I was.
Look again. Freeze it.
There's great tension buildup when you need to do that. And, you know, in the case of this film, there's really solid action, and all of the action serves to develop character. She chooses to believe in him being the one because she's fallen in love with him, and she's going to fall in love with the one, so he must be the one. Therefore, and what do you know?
I love the idea that if you die in the Matrix, you die in real life because the mind makes it real.
The brain makes it real, yeah. But that also, it makes this track where she can convince his brain in the real world to, no, you're fine, and he can just wake back up because there's no actual damage to his heart.
Yeah.
And then this is, I mean, come on. It's so much fun. Like, this is
The
played.
ripples.
This is played now, and like we've seen it a million times. But this was so groundbreakingly original. I saw this movie 3 times opening day.
Opening day.
Opening day. I went with some friends. We had no idea what to expect. The trailer was like, meh. And we walked in, watched the movie, walked out, and got right back in line.
That's awesome. And then he sees the world for what it really is. Zeros and ones.
I love that moment where he stands up and he's about to go answer the phone, and then he says, no.
Yeah.
And just looks at the agents and like, nope, I'm going to choose to become the one.
Well, and a determinist would say he didn't actually make the choice. He was exposed to the idea of choice, and he was exposed to these different notions.
Right.
And therefore, his brain redirected.
And that's what the next 2 films are about. And I'm so glad that the Wachowskis were just like, hey, you know what would be great? Is if we take everything that you believe from that film and then we just plumb the depths of like, is this real or not?
Yeah, which is super cool. So I think the general consensus, everybody agrees the first film's a masterpiece. With the sequels, the general consensus, I think, is that the second film is bloated and self-important but has amazing action scenes, and then the third is just a giant turd. I'm going to be the rare person who disagrees strongly. I think the second film is bloated and has a great action sequence. But I personally think the third one is one of the most underrated films of the past 20 years and often misunderstood. And here's the moment of truth. I actually don't know what Alan thinks because you haven't watched it in a long time.
I haven't watched it since I saw it in theaters.
Yeah, so you just revisited it prepping for this.
That's right.
What are your thoughts on the sequels?
The original is a great, fun movie that's got some philosophical overtones.
Yeah.
And the sequels are a 200-level philosophy course with kung fu fights and gun fights and
Yeah.
a car chase that's friggin' unreal.
Yeah. So with the sequels, we take this simple hero's journey, and we take the simple, we believe in free will, yay, free will, not determinism, and we just flip all of that on its head and turn it inside out.
Yep.
Why don't you come and have a sip this time?
Maybe I'll stand.
Well, suit yourself.
There's a bunch of moments in these films that are just great, like this little bit right here. This is such a great bit.
I felt like sitting.
I know.
I know. She's such a patient grandma. I love it.
Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way.
You're not human, are you?
Well, it's tough to get any more obvious than that.
If I had to guess, I'd say you're a program from the machine world. So is he.
So far, so good.
Bunch of Sims.
But if that's true, that could mean you are part of this system. Another kind of control.
Keep going.
I suppose the most obvious question is, how can I trust you?
Bingo. It is a pickle, no doubt about it. The bad news is there's no way if you can really know whether I'm here to help you or not. So it's really up to you. Just have to make up your own damn mind to either accept what I'm going to tell you or reject it. Candy?
Like red pill candy.
Again, she comes down on the side of choice.
You are looking at the world without time.
Then why can't I see what happens to her?
We can never see past the choices we don't understand.
Are you saying I have to choose whether Trinity lives or dies?
No. We've already made the choice. Now you have to understand it.
Which, on the one hand, that sounds like complete philosophical garbage, and on the other hand, rings so true in life that it's like, are the Wachowskis actually prophets? I don't know.
They might be. So I'm a big fan of this moment because in the first film it's very clean. Machines, bad.
Yeah, humans good.
Machines are programmed, and that's how they order their world, right? And
they do not choose, ever.
And
right?
humans are unpredictable and all about free will. And here we have, she's a machine.
Mm-hmm.
So is she actually helping him? Like the last film, she told him he wasn't the one, and Morpheus says, she told you what you needed to hear.
And he obviously became the one.
And he became the one.
Yeah.
Not because she quote-unquote lied to him, but because if he believed it right out of the gate, he wouldn't have had the growth that he had. He needed to have the experience. So he's sitting here going, if you're a machine, how can you actually be on my side? Machines run on programming, and she's talking about choice. So then Smith shows up, and...
Surprised to see me?
No.
Then you're aware of it.
Of what?
Our connection.
Smith created a Horcrux.
Fully understand how it happened, perhaps.
Well, Neo created a Horcrux, actually.
You imprinted onto me something overwritten or copied. It is at this point irrelevant. What matters is that whatever happened for a reason.
And what reason is that?
I killed you, Mr. Anderson. I watched you die. With a certain satisfaction, I might add.
With a certain satisfaction, I might add.
And then something happened.
The way he enunciates and his rhythm of speaking is just so
Mr. Anderson.
Unique.
It's like almost mechanical. It's so great.
Afterward, I knew the rules. I understood what I was supposed to do, but I didn't. I couldn't. I was compelled.
I think this is what you're getting to. He was compelled to stay.
Disobey. Now here I stand because of you, Mr. Anderson. Because of you, I'm no longer an agent of this system. Because of you, I've changed. I'm unplugged. A new man, so to speak. Like you, apparently free.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So people watch this film, and it's like, oh, this is a lot of mumbo jumbo, and I just want the clean storytelling.
Just want the fights.
But when you get into it, it's really interesting because here's Smith, who is a program, so he believes in programming, and you basically follow orders, and yet Neo chose to disobey, chose to stay, chose to not die, and by extension, Smith saw that he could do the same thing.
Right.
But he doesn't say, I chose to stay. He says, I was compelled to stay.
Compelled to stay.
I was compelled to disobey. And he talks about, we're here because we're not free. Smith still maintains that I'm not an agent of the system anymore, but I still have programming to follow.
Well, and he took the wrong lesson from what he could have learned from Neo. He could have learned, I can choose whatever destiny I want. I can go do anything. But he takes the wrong lesson and goes, I still am what I am. I am what I was programmed to be, and now I just have an extra little bonus bit of code. But I can't change anything. The only way I can change it is by destroying it.
So let's go from philosophy to practical. Is how often I meet with people in therapy who say these words, this is how I am.
Okay.
And I always think, then why are you in therapy? Because the purpose of therapy is
are you here to change and grow, or you want validation?
What do you want? It's not that simple.
What do you want?
Very often what they want is validation, and they want me to help them change the people in their life, change the circumstances. In other words,
Won't work.
In other words, reprogram everything else because I am what I am. Which when you say it like that sounds ridiculous.
Unless we live in the Matrix and you're the architect.
Watch the sass, Captain Sassy Pants.
And yet, if our behavior is the result of programming, if it's nature and nurture, if it's environment and biology, if that's all it is, then can we truly be responsible for anything? Can we be held responsible in a court of law? Can we be expected to change? I mean, it kind of comes down to, well, are we exposed to the right stimuli, right? Are we exposed to the right? And yet here we have Smith, he saw Neo die and come back to life. So you would think, as you said, he could have taken the lesson of choice and free will. Instead, he says, no, I'm still an agent of, instead of order, now it's destruction. I need a new purpose, right? And he's trying to take that from Neo by copying him. And action break. Whoa!
Whoa.
You are bizarre.
You see, there is only one constant, one universal. It is the only real truth. Causality. Action, reaction. Cause and effect.
Everything begins with choice.
No, wrong. Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without. Now, I have some real business to do, so I will say adieu and goodbye.
Where are you going?
Please, ma chérie, I've told you, we are all victims of causality. I drink too much wine. I must take a piece. Cause and effect. Au revoir.
Cause and effect. Au revoir. I just love it. I really, really enjoy The Matrix Reloaded. A lot of people complained that the exposition scenes felt bloated. They're so well written and so interestingly performed.
Yeah.
By all of these different programs, right? Because most of these scenes are...
They're all sim
The
programs,
Oracle's a
though.
program, the Merovingian is a program, the Architect is a program, and none of them talk like people. But they're all, in their own ways, erudite or sophisticated or, overly superfluously verbose. It's just so much fun to watch.
B.F. Skinner was an American psychologist who was...
a full-on determinist, right?
Yeah,
we have no choices, everything is programmed into you by nature and nurture.
Yeah, I mean, that line, choice is an illusion, is basically a Skinner quote. He was radical determinism, and his idea was that you could condition any person to do anything if you knew what you were doing. It's all punishments and rewards. It's all about what they're indoctrinated with. And so he was very, very hardcore that choice isn't real.
Right.
And so his approach to therapy was, if we want people to change, it's about giving them the right stimuli, the right motivations.
Them to, okay.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Of course, this got hijacked in all sorts of horrible ways by the Nazis and, by all sorts of people when it came to brainwashing. And you see this all throughout the Marvel films. I mean, the villains are all Skinner-level behaviorists.
All of the widows, the Winter Soldier, even Thanos' daughters.
Yeah, but on a more day-to-day scale, a lot of us approach parenting this way.
Oh crap, that's me.
With the right rewards and the right punishments, we can get the behaviors that we're looking for.
Oh no.
And yet we say we honor choice, we just don't honor it in our children.
Am I a secret Hydra agent? I'm a Hydra parent. That's what I am.
A Hydra parent?
The Hydra parenting manual. Holy shit.
I can imagine you saying to Sam, "Go to your room," and then whispering in his ear, "Hail Hydra, Hail Hydra." Oh, that's gorgeous. Now, contrast that with Viktor Frankl, who you've heard me refer to, Man's Search for Meaning. I'm a huge fan of that book. I'm a huge fan of the concept. He was a Holocaust survivor, and he said the Nazis could take away our homes, they could take away our lives, they could separate us from our families, they could take away literally everything from us except for our ability to choose our response to them and our response to our circumstances.
Yeah.
And he created something called logotherapy, and he says in between stimulus and response, there's a gap. There's a space. And in that space lies our ability to choose our response.
Sure.
And to me, as a therapist, I'll put my cards on the table right now. That is everything.
Yeah.
And here's why. If my life is somebody else's fault. On the one hand, it feels really good that my mistakes aren't really my
Sure.
fault. Because I learned this from my dad, or I learned this from my mom, or these are my circumstances, or I was born into this. And the fact is, there are plenty of people who are dealt terrible hands.
Yeah.
And who behave a certain way because they literally don't know any other way to be.
Right.
Right? The thing is, if it's somebody else's fault, then you get into this victim space and you will stay there your whole life because you're waiting for someone else to make it right. Right? If they made it wrong, then they have to make it right. But what happens if they don't? Then you're always in this place of trauma.
Yeah.
Right? And you're always in this place of you can't take the reins and make your life better. If there is no choice, then we give away our power to our circumstances, to our biology. And on the surface, that sounds very freeing because we're not responsible. But it's actually a prison because there's no change, there's no growth, there's no making things better. There's just waiting for things to happen to you.
Right.
You know, to be acted upon instead of to act. All right, so what do you got today?
Well, this may come as a surprise to most of you, but I definitely take the blue pill.
Really?
And it's blueberry muffin.
I've got the red pill, which is cinnamon. So the question is, take the red kernel and embark on a journey of delicious flavor.
Or take the blue kernel and also embark on a journey of delicious flavor.
Either way, you win. Go to lisa'spopcorn.com and order a subscription box of monthly 6 flavors a month of popcorn delivered to your door. Delicious.
Blue pill and red pill, both good.
The water's starting to get murky because you have some programs arguing for choice and you have some programs arguing for programming. And then
you have the Oracle arguing a mushy middle.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, you're the one and you have to do the things that the one do, but you also have to choose that, but you will because you're the one. But you have to choose it, but you will choose it.
You already... Action break. Whoa.
Choice. The problem is choice.
But we already know what you are going to do, don't we? Already I can see the chain reaction. The chemical precursors that signal the onset of an emotion designed specifically to overwhelm logic and reason. An emotion that is already blinding you from the simple and obvious truth. She is going to die, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. Hope.
So he could choose to save
essential human delusions.
Humans?
Is the source of your greatest strength and your greatest weakness.
If I were you, I would hope that we don't meet again.
We won't.
So I had to watch this scene, and we've shortened it a lot here. But
Yeah.
I had to watch this scene like 3 times before I actually understood what the heck was going on.
What was going on? Yeah.
But essentially, there's always going to be 1% of people in the Matrix who don't accept the virtual world. They're going to feel like something is off.
The problem is choice.
Yeah, the
They're
problem
not,
is
They're going to
choice.
choose to not accept the reality of the Matrix.
Yeah, there's always going to be freedom fighters who are going to pull them out, and they're going to form a city to fight against the machines. And what this essentially is, as far as the Matrix is concerned, it's a trash bin.
Yeah, it's the recycle can at the bottom of your screen.
Right? These people go to Zion and they think they're going to defeat the Matrix. And then the idea of the one is really just somebody who's going to reset the program. The machines are going to go empty the trash folder, wipe Zion out, and reboot and restart. So first of all, the hero's journey is turned on its head because the whole idea of the one, the whole prophecy, was a manipulation by the Matrix.
Yep.
Number 1. Number 2, Neo is put in this position where no other version of the one has been. He loves somebody on the outside, like he's in love. Everybody else is like most logical choice, save 23 people.
Well, and I mean, he even states, we built into the programming of the one that there would be a really strong love reaction, but for him, it got focused on Trinity. For everyone else, it was a generalized, I love humans.
Yeah.
And so when presented with an option where I'm going to save humanity or not, obviously I'm going to save humanity. But for him, he's like, no, I'm going to go save Trinity's life.
Yeah.
So he was in their program A bug.
While the others experience this in a very general way, your experience is far more specific vis-a-vis love.
Trinity.
Like, if you're a computer nerd, these are actually super cool movies.
Oh, freaking great.
The architect positions this as you're having a chemical reaction that's overriding logic and reason. It's not a choice.
There's no choice. This is a thing that's predetermined.
Yeah, you're going to save her because you're in love, and that's stupid.
Yeah.
Right? Because he doesn't get it. So at the end of the second film, we've upended the whole hero's journey. We've upended the messianic tropes. Neo isn't a savior. He's just some dude.
Right.
Who happens to be able to do cool things in the Matrix because the Matrix lets him.
Yeah, the Matrix built some code into him that lets him break it.
Yeah. Waking up naked in a pod surrounded by vicious machines is traumatic. So what does trauma do to the brain? Check out my Men in Light video and see. And so Neo and Trinity go off to try and save Zion. And I personally love the assault on Zion extended battle.
The issue I have with it is that we leave Neo and Trinity, our
for like a half an hour,
primary protagonists, for a half an hour to watch a bunch of CGI bullshit. Some of it's really fun and entertaining, but it's CGI bullshit.
I love it. I love the mech suits. To me personally, it raises the stakes because we spend more time with the Zion characters, and when they're fighting a battle that they're not going to win, when we finally get back to Neo and Trinity, you really feel like the dire circumstances of everyone at Zion. Sure. And this is where, look, I don't care if you think the Bible is truth or myth that teaches some truth. Like, this is where the Wachowskis bring the Christ thing all the way back around.
All the way.
But just like the story of Christ, Neo ends up being a figure who liberates not through bloodshed. Well, I guess through bloodshed, but it's his own.
Right.
Right? Instead of vanquishing the enemies, he brings peace by offering his life.
I really should thank you for it. After all, it was your life that taught me the purpose of all life. The purpose of life is to end.
He's so awesome. But this is very... I mean, this is God versus the devil. This is like the meme of Jesus arm wrestling Satan, right?
Yeah.
Because Smith has declared his intention. It's just destruction. And Neo's intention is salvation.
Smith has just kept beating the crap out of Neo.
Why do you do it? Why? Why get up? Why keep fighting? You believe you're fighting for something, for more than your survival? Can you tell me what it is? Do you even know? Is it freedom or truth? Perhaps peace? Could it be for love? Illusions, Mr. Anderson, vagaries of perception. Temporary constructs of a feeble human intellect trying desperately to justify an existence that is without meaning or purpose. And all of them as artificial as the Matrix itself. Although only a human mind could invent something as insipid as love. You must be able to see it, Mr. Anderson. You must know it by now. You can't win. It's pointless to keep fighting. Why, Mr. Anderson? Why? Why do you persist?
Because I choose to.
So here's Smith, and he's talking about all of these constructs, these ideas of love and freedom and choice. It's all, we're just trying to make sense of a life that's meaningless.
Right.
Right? Which may be the case. Like, I don't think it is my personal beliefs, but I'm completely open to I'm 100% wrong.
Sure.
So what if we created all of this just to give purpose and meaning to our lives?
Well, your life has purpose and meaning, so... You're welcome. That's not bad.
I mean, Smith wasn't wrong. Purpose gives us direction.
Sure, absolutely.
And it gives us a reason. And oftentimes, instead of it being programmed, instead of it being something we receive, it's something that we choose, that we create on our own.
Yeah.
If Skinner is right, radical determinism, radical behaviorism, if that's right, then is both liberating and terrifying. It's liberating because our choices, we're not responsible for our mistakes. It's terrifying because we can't take the reins of our own lives. We can't make things better. We are what happens to us. We are our surroundings. We are who we are.
There is no escape from it. We are forever slaves to it.
If Frankel is right, then we do steer our own ship, which is also scary as hell.
Super freaking scary.
Because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
I know exactly what you mean.
If you think you are the way you are and you can't change, my bias and what I've seen in life and what I've seen in therapy is that that's not the case. That you're not just what happens to you and what's written in your genetics. That might set the parameters.
Sure.
Or it might set the stage. But you can blast through it or you can work within it to create a better life for yourself. Yeah. And as long as you're handing it off to somebody else, as long as you're blaming somebody else for where you're at, things will never get better because you're waiting on people who hurt you in the first place to make your life better, and they don't give a damn.
Yep.
Right? You've got to be the one to do that.
This reminds me, honestly, of, this is going to be a hard left turn. One of my favorite lines in any movie ever is from Central Intelligence with The Rock.
And Kevin Hart?
And Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's character asks him, how did you get so jacked? And he says,
I worked out 6 hours a day, every day, for the last 20 years straight. I mean, anybody can do it, right?
Yeah.
Anybody can do it.
Smith is for radical behaviorism, and the film's ultimately after ping-ponging between are we free or are we programmed, I think with Neo here lands a solid blow in favor of free will.
Well, Jono, this has been an enlightening discussion and a wonderful philosophy 202 class.
Yeah, are you looking forward to the next one?
You know, I really, really am. I'm always looking forward to Wachowski movies. Like, one of my favorite films of all time, and this is going to be controversial, is Speed Racer.
I know this about you.
We are going to do an episode about Speed Racer. It is going to be amazing. And one of my favorite awful movies of all time is Jupiter Ascending, which is just as big of a swing for the fences, and where Speed Racer is the world's biggest home run, Jupiter Ascending is the world's biggest clownish hit yourself in the face with a baseball bat that has ever happened.
I'm looking forward to the next one because I dig the messianic themes. I dig the Neo as Jesus. And the next one is called The Matrix Resurrections.
And as always, until next time, why, Mr. Decker? Do you even know? Are you fighting for freedom or truth? Maybe it's peace. Could it be love? Vagaries of perception, Mr. Decker.
I know Kung Fu.
And watch movies.
Freeze!
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow's glistening. A beautiful sight, oh, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is a bluebird, here to stay is a new bird. He's singing a song as we go along, walking in a winter